Mr. James Manges on the left. He's playing Grixis Control versus Seth Anderson on the right, who's playing the Amulet Titan deck. This is the deck that used to be called Bloom Titan until Summer Bloom was banned. And we are going into game 2. Seth is up a game.
Alright, and I wonder what they sideboarded in for these.
So I used to be more familiar with this matchup when Bloom Titan was one of the bigger contenders in the metagame.
Mm-hmm.
I actually still semi-familiar with it because local player Kyle Wiggle still plays it quite a bit. He's found ways to keep it competitive post-banning and is actually taking down, I think he's gone 3-0-1 or 4-0, at least 3 or so FNMs with it. He's pretty competitive. I think they were just listening. Yep. All right. So I'm going to restart their clock. They were waiting on us there. There we go. All right. So we are underway. James is on the play. Pluto Delta and pass. And then
what is that?
Forest into
Sakura Tribe Scout?
Sakura Tribe Scout. I believe it's tap.
I don't know what that does.
I believe it's tap put a land into play, but let me pull it up.
Interesting. Is that... That's a replacement for...
Summer Bloom, yes.
For Summer Bloom, okay. This is an interesting list.
Let me pull it up. Got it here. Pulling up the correct folder. Bringing it up. Copy and replace. And switching upwards to the Sakura Tribe Scout. 1 green for a 1/1 creature. Snake, Shaman Scout. One of the few creatures that have 3 types. Tap. You may put a land from your hand into play.
So he's gonna... It looks like the idea is to put bounce lands into play and have them come in untapped thanks to the Amulet of Vigor.
Let me update. So, okay, so Jim has shocked himself down a couple times, so he's down to 14. He's bolted the Sakura Tribe Scout and played a Tassiger Banana Overlord for the turn. He kicks it back to Mr. Seth. So have you seen like the old version of this deck?
I have not.
So it plays Amulet of Vigor. It says whenever a land that enters the battlefield enters play, it has a triggered ability. It untaps.
Right.
So with the bounce lands, you play those tapped. It triggers Amulet. With the response, it untaps, and then you get to float the mana off the 2.
Mm-hmm.
With multiple Amulets in play, you get to respond to each of those triggers to float 2 mana. So it plays cards that let you play multiple lands per turn, like Azusa Lost but Seeking.
Right. Ooh.
And Sakura used to be Summer Bloom, but now it's cards like Sakura Scout.
Right.
That lets you generate absurd numbers of mana
So
very quickly, and then you win with Primeval Titan or Hive Mind combo.
Do you bounce the bounce land to itself?
You can.
Okay.
And then you can replay, like with Amulet in play and Azusa, you can play it, respond to the trigger, float 2 mana, bounce it, replay it, float 2 mana. You can do that 3 times to make 6 mana.
And every Amulet trigger, you can retap it so that you can untap it again.
And you also play Simian Spirit Guides.
Quick terminate on
that. There's a terminate, but he still gets to enter the battlefield trigger. So you play Spirit Guides as more mana advantage. It's really a Primeval Titan deck. It plays lots of utility lands that do things like Teleria West, transmute for any land you need. Also, it plays a lot of packs. Summoner's Pact to find any of the creatures you need, primarily Primeval Titan. It plays the Hive Mind combo, so you can Hive Mind, play Summoner's Pact, so that the opponent has to copy Summoner's Pact, and then they can't pay for the pact, and then they die.
Looks like a fun deck.
Also plays Slayer's Stronghold and the Boros Legion card. What?
I don't know what that was.
I don't know what that was either.
I don't know who held that up here either.
I don't know. I know local player Tom Medvec is watching the match. I don't know if that was him or if it was our head judge Ryan Wolf. Anyway, so Primeval Titan.
I don't know what that message was.
Primeval Titan comes into play, gets Simic Growth Chamber, bounces a Teleria West, and plays a Cavern of Souls, I'm assuming naming Giant.
Right.
And then here comes Tassiger, takes Seth down to 12.
One thing I really like, decks I really like, are decks that manipulate mana for, or I guess, not mana, but land cards specifically for cool purposes.
Well, then this deck is right up your alley because this is the goofiest, like most non. It's just you haven't seen like this. This deck used to win on turn 2 through playing with a Primeval Titan, like in Slayer Stronghold and buffing it and giving it double strike and haste and like disgusting things. Okay, so it looks like Seth is cast Ancient Stirring. He's going to stir the pot. So Ancient Stirrings looks at the top 5, and you get to pick a colorless, typically played in green Tron decks, and this lets you get all of your lands plus
any land you want.
And it also finds Amulet of Vigor.
My Ponza deck would love to play against this. I think that would be amusing.
Do it. Just next time Kyle's in, just be like, hey, let's play some games.
Yeah. Hey man, you want to help me test out a new deck I got?
Looks like Seth has a difficult Ancient Stirrings. He's counting up his mana.
Can't really see what he pulled there.
There's a Wormcoil Engine, which you can get, yeah. And also what this deck gets to do, it just gets to play big creatures out of the sideboard for various matchups, like Dragon Lord Tarka, Dragon Lord Dramoka, Wormcoil, Hornet Queen. On here. I've seen Sigarda. Like I've seen lots of goofy cards, and it's really cool. So here's a Wormcoil, which I imagine Grixis has a hard time dealing with. Jim's gonna fetch down to 13. He might be getting Cryptic Command mana here. Yep, so he's going to go down to 11.
Himself to 11.
I imagine we're going to see like Cryptic counter draw, maybe. Yeah, so Cryptic counter, probably draw. Looks like he's waiting for Seth to cut his deck and draw. Okay, so then Seth passes it back, untap, draw. He draws Thought Scour for the turn. Whew! Here comes Tasigur.
Taking him down to 8.
That Tasigur has done 12 damage.
We have seen a lot of Tasigurs doing a lot of work tonight.
This is actually only the second time we've had Grixis on camera.
But he was in another deck, I thought.
He was in the other Grixis. He was in Adam's Grixis deck.
I thought he was in another deck even other than that, though. Man, my brain...
this is round 7 of coverage, so my brain's a little fried. Maybe I'm forgetting something.
Yeah. Well, we can... I guess we can look back and see later on. It's not really important.
Right.
Looks like the timer has stopped again.
I will refresh it. It's still going on our end. I think it just needs to be refreshed for whatever reason. All right.
There we go.
So, it looks like
he's transmuting.
He's transmuting. I think his draw for the turn was Engineered Explosives, which is another card that you can find off the transmute from Talaria West.
Right. Ooh,
so he's going to transmute for Summoner's Pact, which is he's probably going to cast that to find Primeval Titan. Or he can find one of his sideboard cards, like Wormcoil Engine. It's a really, this is a really toolbox deck, mostly in terms of lands, secondarily in terms of creatures. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. Okay. So that is resolved. He looks like he only has one other card in hand, which I think is Engineered Explosives. He may have passed the turn. James is casting Thought Scour, targeting himself. He mills over Colligan's command and terminate, and draws a Swamp, which he immediately plays.
Another Cryptic.
And a Counter Squall. Alright, so Tasigur swings, and Azusa blocks. And then he just kicks it back to Seth. The counter magic in Jim's hand looks really strong against whatever Seth's trying to do. I mean, the Cryptic can basically answer whatever Seth plays. Then Jim gets to attack for 4, taking Seth down to 4. He looks to be in a pretty strong position right here.
Definitely. And he still has to worry about that Summoner's Pact. Oh, looks like he's just going to counterspell the Summoner's Pact.
I think you just counterspell whatever they play.
Yeah, I would have let the Summoner's Pact resolve and then force them to pay 5 on their next upkeep.
But he couldn't counter the Titan because Seth has Cavern of Souls.
Oh.
So here's Azusa.
Oh, maybe that's what that... that's probably what that card that got held up was. He probably named Giants. That's probably what that said.
Yeah. So, that's what it was.
That makes a lot of sense.
So, Seth plays Azusa. Jim snapcasts Lightning Bolt to kill it. Then he gets to attack with both of those creatures, and Seth says, I'm done. We're going to game 3. A gem ties it up.
Looks like they've got somebody sitting over there helping them with their dice and such.
I think that's Tom. Thanks, Tom. I believe Tom Medvec made the top 8, so maybe we'll be seeing him on camera later. Maybe he didn't, and if he didn't, I'm sorry for throwing salt in your face, Tom. All right, so updating the life totals. Let's take a look at the sideboards. First,
Who do you want?
I'll take the Grixis deck.
There you go.
Actually, you know what? You take the Grixis deck, since that's probably more cards that you've seen before.
What are you trying to say?
You told me you're not familiar with this deck. All right, so from the Amulet Titan side, we have 2 Nature's Claims, 2 Seal of Primordiums, Hornet Queen, Obstinate Baloth, Thragtusk, Leyline of Sanctity, Hive Mind, 2 Fire Sprouts, and 2 Crumble to Dust. The only things that I'm thinking about here are the large creatures that generate value, like Thragtusk, Hornet Queen, Obstinate Baloth.
Yeah.
The rest of this stuff, the Nature's Claims don't do anything against Grixis. Neither really do Crumble to Dust or Fire Sprouts. Unless the Fire Sprouts you may keep if you're expecting Young Pyromancer. What do you see on the Grixis side?
Oh, we got 2 Negates, 2 Dispels, 2 Collective Brutalities, 2 Surgical Extractions, a Nihil Spellbomb, and an Anger of the Gods, Damnation, Kalitas, Trader of Get, 1 Engineer Explosives, 1 Keranos.
Ooh, the God of Storms? All right.
And then it is that Static Caster. So I'm thinking, I mean, Negates, maybe if you want
counter
for
magic is
pack.
strong.
Yeah. Collective Brutality, maybe.
I think the Hand Disruption and the counter magic is probably where you want to go.
You could throw in Surgical Extractions. I just like the idea of, I mean,
the
counter something and then surgically extract it immediately.
So Surgical is kind of one of those cards where everybody's just like, Thoughtseize it away and Surgical it, which doesn't. That's not normally how games work out. So
it's not. But
if you get rid of Primeval Titans, this deck doesn't have a lot of win condition.
Damnation, definitely. And then Keranos would be sweet.
Keranos would be sweet. I don't think
know
this is the
if you
matchup
sideboard it in, but if you could lock it up,
we just want to see it.
Keranos
We just want to see it.
Yeah.
All right. So Talaria West for Seth. He kicks it back. James is going to shock in the Steam Vents. He doesn't play Serum Vision, so this communicates Lightning Bolts or Thought Scour. Yeah. So here's Amulet of Vigor.
Amulet.
This is the artifact that the deck is built around. We didn't get to see.
There is the...
So Simic Growth Chamber comes into play. It triggers. It gets to untap. He bounces back to Talaria West, so he can transmute later.
He's got a blue floating, but doesn't do anything. And then we get the Thought Scour.
But he gets to play the Sakura Tribe.
Right.
So Thought Scour mills over Fatal Push and Terminate. Looks like.
Can't tell. Yep. Yeah.
Jim's gonna fetch down to 15. In this matchup, you can afford to be aggressive with your life total generally because this deck usually beats you in large chunks of damage.
Yeah,
like in 1 or 2 attacks with a Primeval Titan. So it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you're either gonna die to a Primeval Titan or you're not.
So here's Fatal Push on the Sakura Tribe Scout.
Well, yeah, and that is key because with that Scout out and the Amulet of Vigor, that's when Seth would have been able to really start going crazy.
Yeah, really. Those Bounce Lands, like, they don't get played a lot in the competitive formats.
This is like the only deck they get played in.
Basically, yeah. It's super strong. All right, here's Ancient Stirrings with a blue floating. Ooh. So you can play around days. That was a joke. Seth's doing a good job of hiding his cards from us, which is fine. I respect. Keep us guessing. This is the last match of Swiss. We will be covering the top 8.
Yeah.
There's not enough time on the clock. If these guys were to finish quickly, we wouldn't even try to get a third match in here. So we will be going from this to the quarterfinals. And like I said earlier in the cast, we don't require that our players play on camera. So if they tell us they don't want to play on camera, we cannot and will not force them to. But I would imagine we will be able to bring you the quarter, semis, and the finals.
Definitely.
Yep. All right. So it looks like he chose Cavern of Souls off that? Yep. Okay. Yeah. Pretty powerful.
Waiting on to see what land he's actually going to put down, though.
the top 8, the tables 1 through 3 all drew, and then tables 1 through 3 all drew. Then we watched table 4 earlier, which was Brian versus Daniel. Brian, that was a win in for both players. Brian won that, so he's in the top 8. And then table 5 declined to be on camera. So I know that there's some number of burn and some number of Grixis.
1 or 2 burn. I think an affinity deck.
There's an affinity deck. He named human on the cabinet.
Okay. Yeah, 1 or 2 Grixis decks.
I think it's 2 burn, a Grixis, an Obzon Coco, an affinity, and then we're not sure of the rest. But we will let you guys know the entire makeup. We'll tell you the bracket when we start the quarterfinals.
And there is good old Tassiger.
Banana Hammock himself.
What a guy.
I know. All right, so we're kicking it back to the Amulet deck.
So we're naming humans. Is that just for Azusa?
Azusa,
He really wants to get Azusa out there?
Because the Sakura Tribe Scout is a shaman snake. Something. It's not human. Yeah.
Primeval Titan is
a giant. And Thragtusk, which I see in Seth's hand, is a beast. I don't know about you, but I want to see that Thragtusk come down. All right, so Gruul Turf, trigger Amulet. With the bounce trigger on the stack, he's going to float 2.
5.
Which means he gets to bounce the cavern.
He's going to float 3.
Yeah. Here's Thragtusk, but I'm going to just say I don't like that signature.
No.
All right, so Seth goes up to 25. And I think Thragtusk is a pretty powerful play against the control deck that's trying to 1-for-1 their opponent.
Yeah, because he can trade with Tassiger and still come out with a beast.
And plus he gained the 5 life anyway against the Lightning Bolt deck. Alright, so Jim plays Sulphur Falls for his turn. Checking out his hand.
I don't see. He might just want to pass and try to react to something.
He has 2.
He's got 2 Cryptics,
which means
he
could
and a Snapcaster. So
he may tap the
play the Cryptic, bounce the Thragtusk.
He may tap it.
That's
he's bouncing. No, he's bouncing the Simic Growth Chamber. That's.
I don't know if you. Interesting. Okay. So
then he drew a card.
Is that good for Seth? Or?
Well, it puts Seth.
It puts him a little behind.
It puts him a little behind, but because he doesn't have. If he had an Azusa out, I would say that's good for him.
Yeah.
Because then he'd get to play it, float 2 mana, bounce it, play it, float 2 mana, bounce it, and do that 3 times and make 6 mana. So I think it didn't seem great for Jim, but I think it did put Seth behind. But it's not a long-term plan that Jim can work towards.
Right. I feel like he might have wanted to maybe wait until Seth's main phase to tap down the Thragtusk and draw.
All right, so here's 5, and Jim is falling down to 10. I don't know. It's
a tough call.
Obviously, it's a tough call. There's probably not one right answer here.
No, definitely not.
Jim's in a bad spot.
Well, he drew into the bolt, so he could bolt the Thragtusk, which is probably one of the only drawbacks of Thragtusk.
Yeah, but I mean, he still ends up with the Beast. So here's Talaria West and Azusa.
He does end up with the Beast, but the Beast...
Okay, so here's what I'm saying. Now he has Azusa.
Right.
He gets to make 4 mana here. And he gets to... Okay, he didn't because he bounced the Talaria West, but that probably just means he didn't have anything else to play. But he does have 3 to transmute, and now he can get Summoner's Pact.
Yep.
And he can make a Primeval Titan for next turn. We do know that Jim has a Cryptic Command, though.
Yeah. And as I was saying...
Oh, no, he's going to get Pact Negation.
Oh, interesting.
He might be doing that to protect Thragtusk.
Yeah. Thragtusk dying to bolt is the only bad thing about Thragtusk. And then, he gets it through Beast, but it can't fight with Tassiger anymore at that point.
Right.
But now I think he's definitely got to turn the bolts on Azusa.
Yeah.
You can't let her hang out.
If you have a 5th land, because I do think, even though you know he has Pact of Negation, you probably want to keep Cryptic Command up.
Right. Let's see what he draws here. Doesn't draw land. Draws a
Island.
Dispel?
He has an island.
He had an island. Is that a Logic Knot or a Dispel?
It's a Dispel.
Okay.
It's the Return to Ravnica card.
Oh, alright.
Alright, so here's attack for 4.
Just swing in.
And Seth's going to go down to 21. He's like, and he says, yes, sure. We'll take 4.
Yeah,
no
whatever.
problem. So, man, Jim's in a rough spot here.
Yeah.
I think
he's in a rough spot, but I don't think he's in a spot that he can't come back from.
He may not want to bolt the Azusa because he may want to leave up Cryptic and Dispel, because then if he counters the Pact, so whatever Seth has that's threatening, he counters it with Cryptic, and then Seth responds with Pact and Negation. Then Jim can dispel the Pact and Negation.
Right.
So, but here's Cavern. Probably he'll let us know.
Yeah.
I'm betting Giants.
Giants is some, I'm sure.
A lot of. I don't know what that said.
He wrote it on Brian's old piece of paper.
Oh, that said
when
a lot.
he was getting a lot of life, and I couldn't quite.
I bet it said Worm.
Yeah.
Because here's Worm Coil Engine that can't be countered.
Yeah.
It can get bounced with Cryptic Command though.
Yes. Does he do that, or does he bounce the Thragtusk that can attack him though?
I would imagine you maybe tap the team, bounce Worm Coil.
You might, yeah.
It's hard. Okay, so here's Cryptic.
So yeah, out comes
tap the team.
No Pact. Okay.
And yeah, well, I mean, it's not if it's just tap draw. Seth has the inevitability here.
Mm-hmm.
Seth has inevitability. He doesn't have to burn this Pact. All right, so Bolt.
So he has Pact with Dispel to back it up. And it looks
Seth
like
has a Dispel too.
No, sorry. Bolt.
Okay, so
Dispel to back it up. My mistake.
Jim has Bolt, Delta, Dispel, something else.
Looks like a Snapcaster.
And here's a Thought
And there's
Scout.
a Thought Scout.
Yeah.
So he's got another Creeping Tarpit? Is that what that is?
So actually, Jim has mana for Snapcaster
Oh,
Cryptic Command here. But the Cryptic Command will get countered by the Pact.
Negated, yeah.
It'll get countered by the Pact because he doesn't have enough mana to leave up Dispel. Alright, Jim's going down to 9. This is intense.
I don't know.
It's not... He's
tough
in a
call.
real bad spot.
Yeah.
What I was going to... Before the Worm Coil, there was a route where he just gets enough hits in with a Tasker, and then maybe he cleans it up with those 2 bolts on the Creeping Tar Pit. But now that Seth has Worm Coil Engine, if he gets even 1 attack off with that Worm Coil and gains 6 life, that plan's probably gone. Yeah, so Jim is digging with Thought Scour, but you can tell from his body language he doesn't find what he needs.
So he's gonna try to Cryptic, it looks like, even knowing the Pact is there, but he can back it up with the Dispel.
Yeah, now that he's off the Snapcast... No, because he had to... The Cryptic he had to cast with Snapcaster Mage.
Oh.
So he doesn't have Cryptic anymore.
I don't know how he gets out of this then.
I don't know either. But we'll see.
Unless he tries to double bolt?
Double bolt the Worm Coil? He can... But then he that's still... If Seth packs the second bolt, then Jim can dispel the Pact.
Well, he can dispel whatever...
This is rough.
Whatever Pact comes at.
Yeah.
Then he could double Snapcaster and double bolt again. So he could send both at the Worm Coil and then double Snapcaster, double bolt, pick off the tokens, leave up Tassiger and the 2 Snapcasters to block. That might... I mean...
I love Azusa getting in here.
So he's gonna Snapcaster.
Alright, so here's Snapcaster. Yep. Targeting... Terminate, maybe. I forgot about Terminate. Terminate. Yeah, okay, so terminate the Worm Coil.
And he still has Dispel mana.
Yeah, so...
I like this move. This is a good play still.
We were not taking Terminate into account, so... Alright, so it's going to block the Worm Coil for good measure. Okay, so here's blocks. Before damage, terminate targeting Worm...
Okay, yeah.
Oh, no, he terminates the Snapcaster so he doesn't gain life. So this makes me think he's on the Bolt Creeping Tar Pit plan. Because he's just preventing the life gain.
Well, he could prevent it by terminating it anyway, so I don't know why he blocked with the Snapcaster too.
Maybe he might just be trying to bait out this Pact too. I'm not sure. I'm
very confused as to what just happened.
You know, if if he's holding a card we can't see in his hand and it's Fulminator Mage, there might be a world where he's trying to bait Seth into casting that Pact of Negation, and then on Jim's turn he casts Fulminator Mage, blows up the Simic Growth Chamber, and then all of a sudden...
But what just happened there? Because I didn't see... Did Seth have 2 packs? Did he pact in response to that?
He didn't,
and James just let go?
He terminated his Snapcaster Mage so that the creature is blocked, but damage wasn't dealt, so he didn't gain life. Jim's at 8.
I don't understand why he didn't just terminate.
I guess then because he has 2 creatures to deal with instead of 1. I don't know. It's rough.
But
game.
then he can double bolt.
Radiant Fountain. Seth gains 2.
Yeah.
Double bolt and kill the 2. I think he's trying to save those bolts to go upstairs, but that's going to be even harder now that
he's got a lot of stairs to climb.
I know he does.
So it's
Jim obviously knows his back is against the wall here.
Right. Well, there's
one down to 16
to the face.
I think he knows the only way he's going to win this game is if he gets lucky with like running like Snapcaster Mages and a bunch of lightning bolts and maybe an attack with Creeping Tar Pit. So he's just giving himself the best chance he can to get lucky and win. So okay, here's Tasigur, and there's no creatures to block. So that takes Seth down 12, which is 4 lightning bolts. And he's got 1 in a Snapcaster Mage plus the Dispel, but now... Okay, so now we got to see what Jim does to keep the Worm Coil from dealing damage this turn.
Right.
Maybe he thought that if he terminated his own Snapcaster Mage, Seth was less likely to cast Pact of Negation.
I would just try... I mean, I would terminate anyways, and then use the Dispel on the Pact of Negation. Now the Pact of Negation is out of play.
Yeah.
And you're opened up to cast whatever spells from your hand that you want.
Also, Seth on his next turn has to tap, not out, but tap most of his mana to pay for the Pact. But, you know, here's a Primeval Titan, which is probably just making this even harder for Jim.
Yeah, because now he's got a Primeval Titan backed by a Pact of Negation.
Yeah, this is...
And James only has Dispel in hand.
Can you imagine, like, envision this in what this would really look like? Just Tasigur standing on a battlefield, looking at this giant cow, this Titan, and this huge mechanical worm. Like, how do you win this fight, Banana Man?
Really bleak.
Yeah.
Really scary.
Oh, my. Okay, so Primeval Titan trigger resolves. Seth is looking for 2 lands. It looks like he's getting Teleria West. He might, and Simic Growth Chamber to bounce the Teleria West to his hand so that he can maybe transmute and find a Summoner's Pact to maybe get a second Primeval Titan on his next turn. Okay, so he's getting a Growth Chamber.
Ooh, we should probably run down and give them a time warning.
Yes. There is 2 minutes 48 seconds on the clock.
Let them know when we stop that it's going to be time for them.
Okay, so... And it looks like Seth decided just to get 2 Simic Growth Chambers.
That's a lot.
And he's going to bounce the Cavern of Souls and the Radiant.
I like
Fountain
doing that over and over again because every time he does the Cavern of Souls, he can just name whatever random creature he wants to cast next.
And by replaying that Radiant Fountain and gaining 2 more life, he's taking... Because before that, Jim needed 4 lightning bolts. Now he needs 5.
Right. And he's already cast 1.
Yeah. So this game is going... So this is Dispel targeting the Summoner's Pact.
I really think that James kind of backed himself in a corner by not just killing the Worm Coil. He's still
in a bad situation, even if he terminated the Worm Coil engine. Okay. So Summoner's Pact resolved, which means that Seth will not get a 4th massive creature to attack Jim with.
My goodness.
All right, and here's the swing for 11. He does have Kolgan's command to blow up the Worm Coil engine.
He drew to that, which is cool.
Okay, so Shatter, make you discard, so use the pack now or don't use it at all.
Right.
Or it may be Shatter and 2 to you, but it doesn't matter because Seth's going to pact it
That's got to be game then. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So
Yep.
Seth Anderson takes the match 2-0 over Jim Manges. Wow, that was a great one.
That's an
Or
exciting
2-1.
deck.
Excuse me, 2-1. It's really great. You should look up some videos of it from its heyday. We're going to kick it back to the booth here. It was Pro Tour. Okay, so Fate Reforged was the last modern one. So it was the one before that. The Modern Pro Tour before that. Not Born of the Gods. So after Theros was the block after Theros? Was it Cons of Turkey?
That was Return to Ravnica, wasn't it?
No, that was before. Okay, so no, it was I think it was Pro Tour Fate Reforged was the... Yeah, okay,
Was it Dragons after Theros or Cons?
No, I'm talking about blocks, not sets.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Cons.
it was Theros and then Cons. So the last Modern Pro Tour was Pro Tour Oath of the Gatewatch, which is the one that Eldrazi broke. And so 2 Modern Pro Tours ago was Pro Tour Fate Reforged. And that's the one where Sam Black and Justin Cohen brought the Amulet Bloom deck and just ran the tables.
Oh, jeez.
Justin Cohen made it to the top 8. Sam Black lost in round 15 to not make the top 8.
Oh.
And their teammates and roommates, they worked on the deck together and brought it to the Pro Tour. They played each other in, I think, round 14, decided to draw. Justin was either able to draw round 15 into the top 8, made it to the finals and lost, and then Sam lost in round 15 to not make the top 8. That deck was scary good.
Sounds like it.
Mm-hmm.
It still looks pretty good here, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's still really strong. It's just, it's less abused without Summer Bloom.
Right.
Okay, so the final standings are about to go up.
Ready for that, so we should jump on down there so we can figure out who the top 8 is.
He did play. Justin Cohen played extremely tight. I remember watching that top 8 live and just thinking, like, wow. And that was his first Pro Tour. Like,
wow.
It was really impressive. Zero Anarchy game. Is that your... I don't think your dad's on Zero Anarchy Gaming, but that's possible. So the final standings just went up. We're going to go get the bracket for the top 8, probably a beverage, and we'll be right back. Thank you guys for watching. Once again, we're broadcasting from Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming in Morgantown, West Virginia. I'm Ryan.
I'm Kurt.
And we will BRB.